Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life. I am your host, Lori Palau, and I am really excited. I know I say this every week, but I am. I'm super excited for our guests because I get to talk to these amazing people that are doing really great things, and we can all learn from them. And so I am going to give you a quick little bio about today's guest, and then I'm going to bring her on out to the show. So joining me today is Ashley Brown. And Ashley is a creator and the owner of a company called Routine and Things. And of course, we're going to link up to it. Routine and Things is a product-based company that helps people, and her audience is primarily women, as is ours, but she helps all people consistently live their happiest life one routine at a time. You know, I'm all about routines. She herself is a huge proponent of routines in her daily life, and we're going to talk all about that and how routines can really springboard you in all areas of your professional life, of your personal life, and of course in your home. She hosts the Routine and Things podcast, and she's got an incredible line of print as well as digital products to help you get and stay organized. But that's not all. She's also a nurse educator. Like, she has a whole other career on top of this. And she's a mom. And so we're going to talk all about life and career and following your passion and, of course, routines. So without further ado, let me bring out Ashley to the show. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi, Lori. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, I am very excited for this conversation. And just to let our listeners know, so I was actually introduced through Ashley. We have a mutual friend, my friend Kara Harvey, who's been on the show, and she runs a Purpose Driven Mom, the platform. And Ashley and I are both speakers at the Purpose Driven Mom Summit. And I was talking about Enneagram and clutter, and she was, of course, talking about routines. And I just started doing like a little bit of a stalking of her social media and her website and all of her things, and was like, I can't wait to share you with my audience. And so that's how we connected. Um,
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. I'm super excited to be a speaker at the Purpose Driven Mom Summit. It's my first time, um, being a part of this summit, but I'm very excited. And I was super excited when you reached out to me because I was like, "Oh, yes, love it. Love what you do. I love anything that deals with organization, because I just feel like it's really good for your mind." Oh, yeah.
It is. Well, I love it because you're speaking my language. So obviously, I just gave our listeners a snapshot of who you are, read a little bit from your bio, obviously gave my own commentary. But in your own words, can you just walk us through a little bit about who Ashley is, just personally, professionally, all the things?
Yeah. Yeah. Ashley, oh my gosh, who am I? I would say I'm like, just to sum me up, I'm from down south, so I'm a down south girl, born and raised in South Carolina.
What part?
Um,
What part of South Carolina?
Small town, Bennettsville, South Carolina. Very small town. Yeah, we had to drive like 45 minutes to get to the Walmart. So yeah, very small town. So that gives you some perspective about how I was born and raised, like in the church, good food, very fattening, but very good.
I love
Um,
it.
right. And so that's like my roots is I'm a Southern girl. So I feel like I'm very down to earth. I'm a very person, kind hearted. I love helping people. As to why I'm a nurse educator, a nurse, just helping people with their routines. I'm a helper for sure, but then also just someone who loves anything like creativity. I love being creative. And although I am somewhat type A, as people would say, I still love creativity and I love movies and hanging out with my family. I'm a huge family person just in terms of like my mini family of me, my husband, my two daughters, and I'm a homebody that mostly. So you'll usually catch me at home. I love going out too, but it really just depends on my mood. I would rather stay home if you ask me and everybody just come over, have a little, have some wine, something to eat, and I'm good.
That's me. Oh my, you're
Yeah.
singing my song. I love it. I love it. Now, how old are your girls?
They are 1 and 3. My babies.
Oh my
They're so sweet. And
God.
I'm saying 1 and 3, but they're like 1.5 and 3.5. But yeah, my baby girls, they are like night and day though. Very different. Night and day. One is super spunky. They both have a lot of personality, I feel like, but one is like really super spunky. And I feel like, and like we always like talk about them in terms of their emotions. So like my one daughter, she's a crier. So she will just cry. Anytime she gets to a level where it's like this is too much, she'll cry, right? Really big emotion that way. But then my other daughter, she gets mean. So she will try to hit you. And I'm like, oh, you have the anger. Okay, we're gonna have to work
Yes.
on this.
It's so funny because I also have two girls. My audience knows this, but mine are bigs. They're 17 and 20. So it's like part of me misses those ages because they're just so cute and lovable, but it's so much like work. Like it's so much work. And I feel like I've climbed that mountain and I'm on the other side. And part of me is like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine being back in that. But of course, my girls are very different. And I personally am that like anger lash out. Like I'm not the crier. And I remember I was talking to my therapist, and I'm a grown woman. And I was talking to my therapist, it's like a year ago. And she was like, I forget exactly how she phrased the question, but she said something about, tell me about like your feelings or something about emotions. And I was like, I'm not emotional. And she goes, you are, but you're like rage emotion. You're not like, I was equating emotion with tears or sadness or, drama. And I'm not any of that. And she goes, oh, you're emotional. It's just not how you're defining it. So I can
Right.
totally relate to that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So it is so funny. I was listening to someone on Instagram and they were like, yeah, everyone has a home emotion. Everyone's home emotion is very different. So like I'm the crier. I'm like the sad. I will go to sad very easily. When
Okay.
my other daughter is like, no, anger. And that's my husband too. Like anger, both of them, like that's their home emotion. They're gonna get mad.
Are
And
you
it's
an
like
Enneagram person? Do you
I
tend,
am well, somewhat. I know I'm an Enneagram 1.
you
So
are? Okay.
yes,
Okay. Well,
I am.
you probably have a strong two wing with the emotion.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out your talk on that because I think it's gonna be so good. Because I love anything like personality tests. I love all of that. Yeah, it's really nice. But yeah, so those are my girls, and that's a little bit about me. I'm also a really huge coffee drinker. I love coffee, so I prefer coffee over tea. I love right. I love anything from Target, anything from Trader Joe's. Those are my favorite stores, and I'm a huge foodie too. I love to eat.
I love it. I love it. Um, so talk to us a little bit. Give me some backstory. So obviously you love routines. How did you make the leap? And for those of you who can't see me, but I'm just plugging in my little booster. My computer was getting a little wonky. Um, how did you create your business? Because obviously from your background is as a nurse educator,
Mhm.
which I mean, you're in the science field and that's a lot of work. That's, you're obviously using the routine and the skills of what your other business is. But what made you decide to start this business?
Mm,
Walk us through that because I think it's fascinating. And then talk a little bit about what routines and things really is, and kind of what your
yeah.
mission is.
Yes. So this business got started. I didn't even know. I wish somebody would have told me this business was going to get started because I would have went through a less amount of challenge and frustration at a certain point. But anyway, so this all started back when I went from being a working mom. So like you said, I'm a nurse educator, but I left my job as a nurse educator to come be a stay-at-home mom with my one daughter at the moment. And I made that decision. I never thought I would be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't know anyone that was a stay-at-home mom. I grew up with a single mom in the home. So somebody talking about stay-at-home, I'm like, who can do this? Like, so, so that was a really good opportunity that I was able to get to be at home with my daughter. And I was super excited about it when I first came home. So excited, so ready. And probably like a couple of months in, I don't know, like stuff hit the fan a couple of months in. Like I really thought I was that type. I was like, well, being a stay-at-home mom has to be easier than being a working mom, like hands down. Oh,
You were
please.
in for a rude
Please.
awakening.
Right? And that's what I got. I got a rude awakening, got woken up so quickly to like, no, this actually is harder for me than being a working mom. And I think it was also a bit of an identity crisis in there too, because I was used to working and then now I'm at home and I'm cleaning and I'm cooking and I'm talking to my daughter that was like 1 at the time, like, yeah, she's sweet, but I was like, I don't know about this. So it was an identity crisis. It was a huge shift. But then also, let me share this with you as well, because I think some people may be able to relate to this. I was also the mom when I came at home that was like, you know what? I can't just clean and cook. I need to be doing something else to stimulate my mind. So then I started a food blog. So here is me doing all the things, thinking that I can handle all of that while this huge transition happened. And yep, things went left very quickly.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
started to feel like life was in shambles. I started to not feel like myself. I got super depressed at a certain point in time because I put way too much on myself. I had this identity crisis that came up. I wasn't myself because I'm usually like that go-getter. My house is organized, things are in place, and that was not the case at all. And my husband was looking at me like, what did you do today? And I'm like, absolutely nothing, and I don't know why. So, so it was just crazy and chaotic in my life at that point. And I'm a huge God girl, so I prayed, so I prayed to God and I asked God to help me. And I feel like God said, lean into who you are. And I'm naturally routine oriented, so I went with that. I was like, okay, we got to get some routines in this home in my life. And one by one, I started to create routines and a lot of trial and error, a lot back and forth, changing them up, this, that, and the third. But I started to recognize what really helped. And then I got to a certain point, like months later. So it did take months. Okay. It takes time. Months later, I got to a point where I felt really good being at home. I remember staring out of my back window, washing dishes, and I was like, oh, I'm at peace. And then I asked myself, how did you get here? And I'm like, oh, shoot, these routines actually worked. And I knew from that moment I needed to share this with the women, with the moms, with just the world, because I think routines, we hear that word often, but I don't think we really understand how impactful they are until they totally shift our life. And so that's what I wanted to share. And so routine and things is all about equipping women, the world to consistently live your happiest life, one routine at a time, and to have fun and flexible routines, not boring and stiff and rigid routines, but routines that meet you where you are, that work with you, the type of person you are, and the lifestyle that you have. And so that's what we're all about, just giving you resources, products that can really help you to start and enjoy and maintain your routines.
I love everything that you are saying. I feel our stories are so similar in so many ways because I too was a working mom, took time off to be a stay-at-home mom, and I kind of planned for that, like thinking this is something that my husband and I had talked about, and I know that so many women can relate to this. It's you all of a sudden you have this shift because you're not getting that validation. You're not getting that, even if it's like, great job, like, okay, great. I did the laundry, I fed the kid, I changed the kid, like all of these things that are important. I mean, let's be honest, you're keeping a human being alive. Okay. Like there's no bigger job than
Mhm.
keeping another human alive. And that's what my husband used to joke around and say, if I came home and I was having like he came home and I was having a bad day and he's like, are the kids alive? Is everybody like healthy and in one piece? Then it was a good day, but we put these expectations, and especially when we're so used to getting like, oh, great job, or you're getting a promotion, or you're going out to lunch, or you're getting just whatever, you're interacting, like you said, with adults, and then you're kind of isolated, and here you are. And I think that so many women can relate to this. And I too, and I've told this story before, but I'll tell it to you, routines, my business was born out of just me, my own sanity, me developing these routines and looking at myself intentionally saying, okay, you're the CEO of this house. Like you have to, this is not going to just run itself. You have to be intentional about it. And like you said, it's not about the rigidity of the routine, it's about the freedom that comes with having routines.
Yes.
So give us some like examples of, and I don't mean this as like a sales pitch for people, but obviously we want to promote what you're doing. But talk about a little bit about what does your actual like products do? Like walk us through that a little bit. If somebody comes to
Yeah.
your website and wants to learn more, get involved in what you're offering, what does that look like for people?
Yes. So you can, when you come to the website and when you're looking, if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I need to improve my routines. I feel like I have no routines, or you're just like, I have routines, but I just want some things that maybe can help. What you're going to see and what you're going to get is one, we have free offerings on the website. So we do have a routine assessment that you can take if you're struggling to figure out which routine you need to start. We have that. We also have, I did a mini audio course about routine building that you can listen to. It's free, it's through Listenable, it's an app, but if you get the app, it's like 7 days free and you can listen to it. It's only a 21-minute course. It's like a podcast
I was
episode.
just going to say, it's like listening to a podcast.
Yes, it's like a podcast episode, but it's really direct, specific information versus like so much of the chit chat, which is beautiful, but it just gets straight to the point. So we have that on the site as well. And then I have a freebie that's a morning routine roadmap. So you will see those throughout the website. But then also when it comes down to the products, so we have different types of products. We have physical products that you can purchase. Our signature products are notepads, and that's really intentional because I wanted products that mimicked routines in a certain sense. And so I feel like every time you go to fill out your notepad, you're like seeing that same layout, which gives you the same routine. So I wanted that to be incorporated into the product. So we have notepads that are specific to the 5 routine categories I always talk about, and that's cooking, cleaning, children's self-care, and planning. And so those are the products. And in terms of these products, I intentionally made sure that they were created with flexibility so that they would be versatile. You could use them in different ways depending on who you are and what what you vibe with as a person. And so those are the physical products, notepads. They're really cute too. I love the colors and everything. And then we have digital products. So our digital products include things that can help you with cleaning. Like we have a home cleaning list. We have a 5-day meal plan. Because like you said, I was a food blogger. I love to cook. So I created a 5-day meal plan that can help you within your cooking routine. We have routine templates. So these templates kind of help you to, it's kind of like checklists that can help you to create your own routine, like a daily. We have a daily children's routine template. We have a work from home routine template. We have some that's for if you are a mom and you're a creative or have a business. I have one that deals with podcasting, like a podcast template, and then also a pitch routine template, which I think is really helpful. And so we have those things on the site. Like I said, digital products, physical products. They're really good if you want to start routines. Oh, I forgot to mention this too. So I have a certain framework that I do to help women learn how to create routines. And so I packaged this framework into a to a workbook. And so we have the Rock Your Routine workbook that is there for you as well. And it will take you through creating a routine from start to finish. And it's really, really good. People have seen really good results with this workbook. And then lastly, I was gonna share something else, but I forgot. But yeah, it's a bunch. It's a bunch of
It's
things.
a
If you're
lot of stuff. It's a lot.
yes.
I mean, I'm like sitting here listening. And again, in addition to working one-on-one with people getting organized, I also coach and mentor other entrepreneurs, specifically in the professional organizing business. And I'm always talking in life about routines. Like instead of recreating the wheel every time, sometimes I think, again, as women, we make our lives harder in certain ways. Like sometimes it's we think if something's easy or like if we've mastered it, then we have to go back to the beginning and make it hard again. Where it's like, no, maybe you found a really good way. And we can always tweak things through whatever season we're in. But templates save my life, like with
Yeah.
everything, you know? And I
Yes.
love that you broke it down and, like into such digestible little categories. We're going
Yes.
to take a quick break. And then when we come back, I would love for you to just unpack those 5 categories a little bit deeper because I know you rattled them off and it's great, but I think that they're going to be really important for people to kind of look at each one of those and see, some maybe some specific strategies for each one of them. Okie doke. All
Yeah.
right, guys, we'll be right back. Okay, Ashley. So before break, you were talking about the different kind of categories and types of routines, the templates that you have, and just kind of how we break things down. And I think again, we know that our routines are going to be organic, just like our
Mhm.
lives. And things that I did when my kids were 1 and 3 are very different than the things that I do now that my kids are, teenagers. So walk us through the different categories that
Mhm.
you broke things down and maybe just give us some actionable examples that people can have for each one, like things to think about and takeaways.
Yeah. So the 5 routine categories, and personally, I came up with these categories because I saw that many of my routines fit into them. And I was like, oh, why not just, think about some categories and put them into this box? So it's helpful for me. I love to compartmentalize like things. So that's my brain. And so the 5 routine categories, I'm gonna just rattle them off is cooking, cleaning, children, self-care, and planning. So when we're thinking about cooking, so the cooking routine category is pertaining to things that you do in order to feed yourself and or your family. That's really what you're looking for in that category. And so, for example, I have personally a meal planning routine that I do every single week that helps me know what we are eating at least 4 days out of the week. Fridays are always freestyle for us, so we get takeout or we just
Can
try to
you
figure it
share
out.
what that is? I'm always curious to hear people's because that I think that's one of the biggest things I hear from people that the meal planning is like the bane of their existence. I'm always looking for new meal planning ideas.
Yes. So for meal planning, what how I figure that out is I have it right here, and I'm not gonna pull it out. But every time I go to meal plan, I have like 20 meals already that I have thought about in advance, and I just pick from there. Now, if I feel like you know what, I want a little bit of variety, then I will go to Pinterest, or majority of the time I don't go to Pinterest. I will ask my friends, what are you having? Because it's easier, because sometimes you get in the rabbit hole down Pinterest and you're like, okay, I've spent 30 minutes on and didn't
Yes.
find anything. So I love using my friends and my family to help me to decide if I want to enter in something new. So I will do that. But I usually have like a list of 20 meals that I choose from, and it makes meal planning a lot easier. And then just in terms of, the freestyle that we do, we love takeout, and the major things we get are pizza and some, maybe some Chinese food or something like that. But yeah, so that's my meal planning, but that's inside the cooking category. But then another m- routine that I will do from time to time is a meal prep routine. And so my meal prep routine is super simple. I always cook 2 proteins, 2 vegetables, and 2 carbohydrates. And
Oh,
so,
great.
like, super simple so that we can mix and match the foods as we go along the week. And so that's my meal prep routine when I do, and I'll do it from time to time. Just depends on when I'm up for it and when I have the time for it. But a lot of things can fit into that cooking category. Like if you need something, like if you have children and maybe your children don't really sit well at the table to eat, maybe you can create some type of routine that helps them to more so focus on eating, or like maybe a way that you can get them to really be engaged while they're at the table, more so that so they can stay focused. You can create whatever type of routine in this category that you would like. I know people have dinner routines that they do. They have like what is it, like table setting routines. It just, I mean, the sky's the limit for routines. Let's be real. Like, you make the rules for your routines. If you have never heard of a routine, you can definitely create it if you need it. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the beauty. I don't mean to interrupt, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Like, and I think for so many people, they the routine was developed just when you started reflecting, when you took a pause and you said, what do I do? Like for me, I'll give a perfect example. I started doing a lot of cooking on Sundays. This is going back to when my kids were young. My husband and my older daughter are huge sports fans. So Sundays, like we would always have football on. And like, I'm not a huge football fan. Like I like the whatever, but I'm not like invested, I'm glued to the TV. But we would be around and sometimes we would have friends over and sometimes it would just be them. So, and I enjoy cooking. So I just started doing a lot of cooking on Sundays because I was home and I had time during the week. I was working or doing other stuff. And all of a sudden I was like, this is enjoyable for me. I found it like, cause I didn't have to rush through it like I do during the week where I'm like trying to quick throw some skillet meal together. And I was like, oh, well, now I'm going to start to create like Sunday is meal prep day. And so I now tend to cook a bunch of stuff and I like you kind of cook in parts. So I'll cook a bunch of stuff that you can mix and match through the week as opposed to doing like, here's a full recipe. I'll cook, I'll grill some chicken, I'll roast some vegetables, I'll make rice and beans. My husband's Spanish. So a lot of rice and beans in our house, but I'll do all of that batched when I have time. And then that at least gets me through to like Tuesday, and it automatically relieves the stress knowing that the first half of the week, if we're crazy running around, I don't have to worry about dinner.
Exactly. So you really make your routines work for you and you already are in some type of rhythm per se. So
Yeah.
just you have to really take a step back and really digest like what rhythm are you actually in, and because you don't have to strip everything away when you're creating routines. Use what you have and use what's working for you and then add to if you need to. Right? If you see that something isn't working, just take that out and just continue doing the things that are working. It doesn't have to be a huge overhaul of your entire life or the thing that you're doing, right? So that was cooking. Going on to cleaning. So cleaning category just includes things that you're going to do to clean your home. So like you've heard of probably laundry routines. I have a really good one I want to share. So for a laundry routine, because this was a routine that I struggled with so much until I started doing this one routine that I do now. And so I call it the 3-day laundry routine. So on day one, I will wash all of our clothes. This does not include bedding. I will wash all of our clothes, and of course dry them. Day two, I will fold all of the clothes, and day three, I will put them all away. And that has legitly been able to help me keep my laundry to the point where I don't have much to do and I keep it up, which is so helpful. So that was a routine that was helpful for me. So hopefully it's helpful for someone else.
I love that. My husband, who's the laundry freak, like that's his jam. Like we call him laundry loving Josh. He would go crazy with that because he'd be like, you're letting laundry sit in a bed. Like I would be fine with that. I'd be like, that sounds great. He would start to twitch because laundry would be wrinkling. I don't know. But I think that's
I
great.
love it.
I love it.
I
I'm like,
love it.
yeah, a little
Yes.
bit each day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, I know people like your husband for sure. They're like, no, I cannot do that. So they're like the one load a day because they need to get it
That's
done. Yeah.
us. That's
Right?
that's that's it. He does start to finish.
Yes. So that's the thing is like you have to find what works for you. That's why I love routines because you have to really kind of pick up what is vibing with you. So that's cleaning. You can have other cleaning routines. Like I have a home refresh routine that I do where I will go through and like vacuum and tidy a little bit in like our bedrooms, and I'll clean the bathrooms
Mhm.
and I'll sweep, and that's like our week. That's my weekly home refresh routine. I do that weekly. You can have other routines like a kitchen routine, and what else can fit into this? It can be whatever, a tidy routine, whatever you need in order to keep your home looking the way that you want it to look, right? This is where you have to really understand what type of person you are, because I'm the type where things don't need to be like sparkling clean. I just need everything to be in its place. Like that's the
Mhm.
type of person I am. So with that, I don't clean, like I don't mop every week. Like I mop when it needs to be done. Like that's when I'm mopping. When the
Yeah.
floor gets really bad, that's when I'm going to mop.
Yeah.
So right, you have to decide what you need. And so that's the cleaning routines. And really for cleaning, one tip I do have for this that you have absolutely more than likely heard from Lori is that, keeping things simple and like minimizing what you have can be really helpful
Yeah.
when it comes to cleaning.
Remove the decision fatigue. You don't need
Yes.
50,000 products,
No,
Put
no,
some vinegar and
exactly.
water and call it a day. All you got.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, minimizing what you have can really help in your cleaning routines. And then we have children routines. Of course, these are routines that your kids are going to be doing. Like my girls, they have a daily routine that they do with their caregiver. I'm usually more relaxed when they're with me, so we don't do it like to the T, but when they're with their caregiver, they definitely do their daily routine. And then my girls, of course, have a morning routine and bedtime routine. Like they need to have, especially that bedtime. You need to be in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock at the latest because I need my time.
Preach.
So
That
yes,
was me. That was me when they were little. It was,
right.
yeah, I had to. Yeah.
You
But I
have
love
to.
that your kids are 1 and 3 and have, like, they have, and they're learning that. Like,
Oh yeah.
that I can, because that's how I was. And people thought I was like crazy. And I was like, no, they need this routine. They need this structure. And they were
They
like, no,
need
you're
it.
being crazy. So I'm glad to
Yeah.
know that you,
Yes, you have to. I mean, you don't have to, but
no.
it's really helpful if your kids are on routines because it just helps them. It helps them learn. It helps them also feel safe and secure and like they kind of know what's going on. We feel better when we feel, or feel more comfortable when that's the case. So yeah, my girls, they are really good. They know that little morning routine. We go to the bathroom, brush their teeth, wash their face. They're so cute. I love my babies.
Oh,
But yes, so those are their routines. So that's children routines. Anything can fit into this. If you want to have a homeschool routine for your kids, maybe you want to have a nap routine because your kids don't nap as well. So maybe you want to start one of those routines. Whatever you feel like can be helpful for your kids, do it. I have a learning routine that we do, which is very simple, where I do flashcards and my oldest will do her learning binder during that time. But it really depends. Like I'm one when I think about routines, I don't like to get super specific with like to the point where I know exactly what they're going to do. I just call it a learning routine and whatever learning includes for that day, that's what we're doing. I'm
I
not gonna
love it.
like, yeah, I'm not one to like really pre-plan what they're doing. I like it to be more so, what are you in the mood for? What about this? Which can be really helpful. And then moving on to planning routine. So of course, this is for you to plan what you are doing. I am a huge planner. If I did not plan, I would not be able to do half of the things that I'm doing in my life, not even a quarter. So I have to plan my days. So you can have a daily planning routine. You can have a weekly planning routine. Meal planning can fit into this as well if you wanted to move meal planning into this routine. Into this category. What else? If you are working and like maybe you want a work routine where you plan out what you're going to be doing before you get started with your work, that could be something that you create. Whatever's going to help you feel prepared for your day, for your week, for your month. This is really what this
It's
category
about
is
being
about.
proactive.
Proactive.
What I keep thinking. It's just trying to get ahead of the curveball
Yes.
in
I
in
mean,
any category.
yes, that's the thing. Like being proactive, your future self will thank you every single time. Be proactive. Do not be reactionary to what is going on in your life because that's when we stress ourselves out and we get super overwhelmed when we're reacting. Be proactive. This is what routines really help you do as well. And then the last category is self care. Oh, were you going to
Oh,
say
I was
something,
just going
Lori?
to say one thing, and I'm sorry
Yes.
just to interject because I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I listened to, I mean, a bunch of different genres, but this particular one happened to be about like entrepreneurship and leadership. And I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to our show, people who own businesses, and they were talking about the importance of planning. And so many times, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you're obviously concerned about the bottom line and bringing in revenue and all that, which is important and great. But how the one area where small business owners probably spend the least amount of time is in the planning phase. They're so busy executing because they want to do, but the importance of planning and being intentional about blocking off, whether it's a certain time a day or a month or a quarter, whatever that looks like, to do those strategic planning. And I think whether you're at home or in the workplace, like there is such value. And again, it was just another reminder. It wasn't anything that I was like, oh, I didn't know this, but it was again, this like reminder of the importance of that. And I think sometimes when we slow down to plan, we have this like false narrative that we're not really being productive, but there is, because you're not doing, it's more of that intellectual part of it, but that
Yeah.
does help us move the needle. So I just, again,
Oh
wanted to
my
stress
gosh.
the importance of developing that muscle, that routine muscle.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it is so needed. Planning is so needed. And I always say when you plan, yes, it's important for you, one, to think about how you're using your time and really evaluating, the things that you're doing, do it really align with the values that you have for your life. But like, when you're planning, don't just take into account your time, also take into account your energy and like what energy is going to be expended with the things that you're doing throughout your day. Because some of us, we can get to planning and then the next thing you know, we have like 20 things on the list and it's like, oh, is that really feasible? How much energy is that's going to take out of you? And also the time as well. So take into account both of those things when you plan. But then the last category is self-care. This is a huge one, especially for moms. I'm gonna say this because this is a struggle for many moms is the self-care piece. So self-care routines can be a range of things. Morning routine can fit into this, evening routine, bedtime routine. I know I have a really beautiful bedtime routine that I do that includes me journaling and prayer and also meditation that has been really beautiful for my life. You can also have in this category, like a movement routine or exercise routine. You can do a skincare routine to care for yourself. I love any type of routine that really digs into your mindset. That's something that's huge for me because I think we all struggle with mindset things, and sometimes we need to make those shifts in order to see that come into play when it comes to us even managing the things outside of us. So mindset things like I used to have a really like especially when I first started self-care routines, I used to have a morning routine where I would when I woke up, I would instantly say three things I was grateful for. And so like that was a huge piece that helped
Love
me.
that.
I mean,
Love it.
it helped me so much. And I know that maybe you all have heard that, but like when you start doing it and start implementing and practicing that, it will change you for sure. So with these self-care routines, I just always say, do things that are going to fill you up, no matter what anybody else has to say. You have to do what works for you, but definitely make sure that you have some time for yourself. Another self-care routine that I've been working on is a rest routine because I'm a busybody. Like I'll just go, go, go. And I have to be like, sit down, Ashley, like you're gonna wear yourself out. So I've been working on my rest for sure.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love all that. I mean, and the beauty of all of these is you don't have to do them. Yes, you should have one for all of them, but like they don't always have to look the same all year long. Like you could have a specific routine for a season, for a period of time. And it's again, it's just getting into that habit. And for me, what's saved my life for as long as I've been a mother, at least, which is 20 years, almost 21 years, is having a morning routine. And it's the routine itself may have morphed a little bit over time, obviously, but having at minimum, on those days when my kids were early risers, at least a 15-minute window to just, like I said, have a devotional, just have quiet time, have my cup of coffee, just plan my thoughts, like just whatever that was. And for me, that was it has been like completely life changing. Like if I don't have that for some reason, like that just immediately sets the tone for my day. And I think it's really important to set these examples, not just for your kids, but even for other people in your life. I think it really helps you establish these routines and you share them with your spouse or whoever, your coworkers, whatever it is. And you're leading by example. And I think it's really, really like, I love everything that you're doing.
Yes, thank you.
It's like I could talk to you forever. I do want to talk really briefly about your podcast, because you're a podcaster and obviously we have podcast listeners. Tell us a little bit, because again, that's another huge hat to wear. Like running a podcast is like a full-time job. Talk to us a little bit about the show.
Yes. So the podcast is Routine and Things Podcast, and it's really all about inspiring, people to start and maintain their routines. But it's really a hub. If you're looking for information that deals with routines, like this is where you need to go. Like I talk about a lot of different things on here. We go through all of the 5 categories in more detail. It's podcast episodes about how to talk to, how to get your spouse on board with routines, how to juggle multiple routines, like all of those things that you have questions about. Many times when you go to my podcast, you will see that that question is being answered. So it's a really good place to get inspired with routine building and to learn how to build routines. And, it's some really good episodes coming up soon as well. But it's a bunch. I have over 50 episodes for you. So you could definitely binge. You could definitely binge. Yeah.
I am gonna absolutely subscribe to it, and I can't wait. We'll link up to it. You've got a bunch of podcast listeners, and they've gotten a sneak peek of who you are and your style here. So hopefully everyone will just click, just hop on over after this episode and subscribe to your show.
Yes.
We are gonna take one more quick break, and then we're gonna just wrap up by putting you in the hot seat. But again, let our listeners know before we go to break, what is the best place for them to find you, connect up with you, learn all the things about any of your offerings?
Yes. So the best place to find everything is Instagram. That's where I'm at Routine and Things. I hang out there a lot. So definitely if you're looking for all of the things, Instagram is the place to go, at Routine and Things.
Gotcha. Perfect. And of course, we'll link up to your website and the podcast and all that good stuff. So sit tight, everybody. We'll be right back. And Ashley is going into the hot seat. Okay, Ashley. So this has been super fun. I could talk to you about routines till the cows come home, because this is like my jam. But I always wrap up our episodes by asking our guests a few questions. First of all, you are inspiring so many people. What books or podcasts have inspired you throughout your life? And it doesn't have to be about routines. It could be just anything that's been really transformational that you could share with our listeners.
Yes. The book that I will always share, because I'm not a huge reader for one, so that's one, but I have read books. And the one book that I've read it multiple times, I absolutely love, is The Alchemist.
Oh yeah.
That book,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
I write down all the
Yes.
books just that everybody says. So
Yes, The Alchemist, that book. Oh, so beautiful. I love that book because every time I read, I've read it 3 times. Every time I read it, I get something new from that book. And I just love how I feel like, well, I'm not gonna give it away. The Alchemist. The Alchemist, read it.
all right, everybody, we got to go read it. And
Yes.
then our last final 2 questions that we ask every guest is, where in this particular season of your life do you feel the most organized, and where do you feel like a little bit of a hot mess?
So I would say where I feel the most organized is definitely with my routines and like maintaining and managing my home. That is where I feel the most organized. And also managing myself and everything that goes on with me. And where I feel a little bit of a hot mess is, like I said, I need to work on resting. This girl needs to, like, I really do. Like, that's the play, like slowing down and really taking time to rest. I'm getting better at it little by little, but I'm still a little bit of a hot mess with it. I have to really catch myself many times.
Yeah, I got you. I think a lot of us struggle with that. I do. And it just really, and I think for me, it's also a little bit about kind of redefining what rest is, and maybe rest is just going to take a leisurely walk, not like because I'm trying to hit my exercise goal or whatever, but like take a leisurely walk and, maybe just not even, listen to anything, just like commune and quiet down. Like it doesn't have to be rest that you're sitting there slothy on the couch. I mean, it
Yeah.
can be. Oop, sorry. My earphone is like, my headset's acting wonky today. But yeah, it's really, I think, a really important thing that a lot of us just don't do or neglect. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's a challenge for everybody, is focusing on rest. So
Yes.
I love it. Ashley, thank you so much for coming on our show, for sharing all of your energy and your wisdom and your knowledge with us. We will make sure that we connect up to all things, routine and things. And I can't wait to meet you in person so we could like hang out and drink coffee.
I know. I know. Thank you so much for having me, Lori. You were amazing. I
Oh,
truly appreciate you.
oh well, thanks for allowing me to share you with our people. So I am Lori Palau. If this is your first time tuning into our show, welcome. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button so you won't miss any episodes. You can, of course, follow along with us on social media. I'm at Simply Be Organized. We are on Facebook. We have a Facebook group for the podcast called This Organized Life. You can post questions, comments. We'll also link up to some of Ashley's amazing products there. And anything that we talked about in the show, you can find in our show notes on our podcast page. So make sure that you check that out as well. Until next week, I am Lori Palau. Peace out.